What is the date today? July 6th. Well, welcome to the vlog. Today is July 6th, and I'm just going to talk. I'm still really struggling mentally. I feel as though it has reached a peak this week of how much I'm struggling mentally, and I'm really tired today, and I just don't feel well, so I just try to get my thoughts to go, but I feel like if I just talk about it, I'll feel better. I'm wearing one of Robert's shirts because I feel more comfortable in his clothing, more comfortable in like baggy clothing lately. Just having anything tight on me just makes me feel super conscious of my body, and it makes me just feel like ugh. So yeah, I'm wearing one of his shirts. I think it's kind of a good color on me, you know? I might be too emotional to film this. I have all these emotions inside me. I'm really frustrated with the fact that I have a lot of brain fog, and I do not think that it's my SIBO coming back. My calories have been low for a while, causing me brain fog, and I'm realizing that my relationship with food has been utterly destroyed by having this illness. This is not me saying that I have an eating disorder. Well, I mean, I think I might have an eating disorder, but not in the way that doctors want to make it out to be. I'm not restricting on purpose. In fact, it's quite the opposite. I want to get this out, but it's just hard to talk about. In documenting this journey, I want to be as honest as possible. And I want to share as much of this journey as possible because I don't want anyone else that ever has to go through something similar to feel like they're going through it alone. I want this to be shared and documented, but that brings scrutiny onto me. I try to make sure that what I'm saying is consistent and I'm explaining things as well as I possibly can, even on days that I have brain fog like today and stuff like that. Or on days when I feel overly emotional, I try to make sure that I'm explaining things properly. At the same time, this condition is not consistent, and there's just so much that happens with it that is so hard to talk about. I am a person that has a very strong obsessive nature. I'm a person that has a very strong need for control. I'm a person who has a strong need for routine and for things to be the same. And I also get overstimulated really easily by life, social interactions, by a lot of things in life. I feel overstimulated pretty much all the time. So when my body is out of control and I can't fix it and it's unpredictable, I'm getting overstimulated by my body and overstimulated by my thoughts about my body on top of how overstimulated I am by everything else in life. It's been so hard to go through this and be this sick while also being a newlywed and like learning all stuff about being married and trying to be a good wife and then trying to be a good employee and trying to be a good daughter and trying to be a good sister and trying to be all these things to all these people, and it's just a lot and it can be very overstimulating. And then to have my body be out of control is just so stressful, and I sometimes just get so angry. There are just things that I do that don't make sense that are hard to talk about. For instance, I, despite my symptoms, have a problem with compulsively eating. The food's not tasting good anymore. I'm in pain. I might even be vomiting and then still be trying to eat through it. I have done that before on many occasions. Thrown up and then been like, I'm going to keep eating, and just like being compulsive. And it's basically, I hate feeling weak. I hate feeling hungry. I hate feeling like I'm not eating enough. My mind will just like kind of break with it, and I will just start compulsively eating. And I don't really want to call it binging because I still have limitations on what I can eat. So it's not as much as I feel like someone would binge if they had a normal stomach capacity, but it feels like binging. A lot of times it's like food I don't even want, and it'll be something dumb like protein bars or vegan ice cream or whatever. But the past 2 nights I compulsively ate, so I felt terrible. I drank alcohol to make it easier to compulsively eat because alcohol numbs the pain a little bit, and it kind of makes me care less about the pain and the symptoms because like I'm drunk, you know? So the past 2 nights I have made really strong margaritas with just like lime juice, tequila, triple sec, some fruit, not even any simple syrup because sugar slows me down and makes me feel worse. So just really strong drinks the past 2 nights. It was not a good time. It was really painful. I felt so sick, but I wanted to feel in control. I wanted to feel like I could eat as much as I wanted to. There are just so many things about this condition, physically and mentally, that are contradictions. It's really hard to talk about those contradictions because I feel like discourse on the internet is hard to have carrying two sides at once, and we have a really good community on this channel. I almost never get mean comments on the channel, but I get comments and assumptions from people in my personal life who don't comment on the videos, and that's what weighs on me. Like, you guys' comments, I love you guys. Everyone that comments on my videos, such nice comments. Like, I post a video and your comments just bring me so much joy and comfort, and it's not people that comment on the videos, it's everyone else who doesn't comment on the videos. I feel like I've just gone through so much in the past 2 years with judgment on my food, judgment on my body, judgment on what I say about my symptoms. There has been such a mental toll to this, and then there are times where I just break down with it and I do different things. The past couple of nights, it has been drinking and compulsively eating. And then it makes me get in my head about the fact that I have an appointment with my cardiologist in less than a week. And if I've gained weight, which should be a good thing, Duke Health will see that as me getting better and as me deserving treatment less for my GI conditions. The AC just cut on and I find that the noise is overstimulating me. And I was just finally getting to a good point, so I'm gonna go cut it off. There's just so many things that dealing with this illness, and not even just the illness itself. I feel like the mental toll of this, the illness itself is such a smaller mental toll than like what doctors have put me through, what I've dealt with in terms of like judgment from friends and family, what I've dealt with in terms of like my own judgment of my own body, what I've dealt with in terms of like the toll that it puts on all my whole things in my personal life and my professional life. There's just such a big mental toll, and I really debate how much to share about that on here because it's really personal. I also feel like if I were to share too much about my like compulsive eating, it'd be like, well, why can't you do that every day? Like, why have you lost weight? And it's like, I can't do that every day because I would just be violently ill every single day. I can only compulsively eat on better days. And here's the other thing, is if I have like a slightly better symptom day, I feel as though I have to compulsively eat, because then I'm wasting a better symptom day. There is so much guilt that I feel about my eating. There's just so much messed upness, and it's really hard to talk about, so I'm trying to talk about it, and I feel like I'm just rambling. There are so many levels of guilt that I feel about food from so many different aspects. I don't even know where to start with it. And the nutritionist, when I saw her, picked up on all my food guilt, and she said, this is not anorexia food guilt. This is definitely not that kind of eating disorder food guilt. This is just something in its entirely own level of food guilt. She asked me what foods I didn't eat, and I told her I don't really eat vegetables because it's not worth it to fill up my stomach with something that's not calorie dense. And I told her that I do count calories. I mentally beat myself up if I eat slightly fewer calories on a certain day, and I think that I could have eaten more. I could have made myself sicker to eat more. I feel as though I have to be making myself to the point of throwing up or nearly throwing up every day, or I have no right to complain to doctors. I feel that I'm only able to talk about my symptoms being bad if I'm doing everything I can to fight every single day. And if I'm not eating so much that I feel sick, then my weight loss and all things that I go through like aren't real enough to talk about, because why am I not pushing through them more? So I feel guilty when I eat healthy food because of that. Because I feel like if I eat something that's less calorie dense, where it might cause me to not get enough calories, I feel guilty. I feel as though I'm making myself worse. But then on top of that, when I do eat a lot of calorie dense food, things that are quote unquote unhealthy by the gut health standards, whatever, I know there are people who think that I'm sick because I'm not eating healthy. And if I just ate healthier, I would be less sick. And those people admittedly don't have a good understanding of what's wrong with me. But at the same time, that kind of thing messes with me mentally, and I feel as though every single person, and I have to admit a lot of this is influenced by social media too. I mean, every time I open Instagram or something, it's like, try this tea for gut health, you know, eat this vegetable for gut health. I feel as though I'm pulled in two different directions with food, like eating the most calorie dense things possible to quote unquote fight this, and to make sure I'm not losing weight, and to make sure that my weight loss is not related to restriction. But then on top of that, there's this pressure to eat healthy because of not wanting to eat the foods that are quote unquote damaging to the gut or whatever. And then on top of that, I just feel this panic about my nutritional state. And I have since this started. And I think a lot of it is because when I was a kid, I had to go through all that eating disorder therapy, and it was drilled into me so strongly that if I ate less than 2,000 calories a single day, you know, I would just be super sick and would be damaging my body, because there was so much stuff drilled into me when I was a kid. I mean, I was a kid when I had my eating disorder. I mean, 13, 14, and doctors would say these terrifying things to try and scare me out of it. Doctors and therapists, they would say things verbatim: if you keep doing this, you will be infertile and never be able to have children. That's a really scary thing to tell a 14-year-old when they have a mental illness that isn't their fault, that they don't know how to fight. So I was being told that. I was being told, if you do this, you're gonna get osteoporosis, your bones will become brittle and fall apart. Then I was being told that my organs were eating themselves, which is super scary to be told. I was told my muscles were eating themselves. Even if it was true, it was just really harsh stuff to hear. There was just so much panic for years about my eating from therapists, doctors, my family. Every time that I skipped a meal or underate for whatever reason, I might have even been sick with the flu or whatever, whatever it was, there was just this panic. It scared me. It scared me so bad about undereating. Now, granted, I had the eating disorder for a long period of time, but people never really understood my eating disorder. I don't really think I even fully understood my eating disorder at the time. My family was so mad when I was young and I wouldn't tell them why I had the eating disorder. I don't think they got that I couldn't tell them because I didn't even understand it. My eating disorder was so much more driven by my OCD. It was not about my body. It was not about my weight. Before getting treatment, I never weighed myself, ever. I never counted calories. I did exercise a bit, but it wasn't extreme. It was like 20 minutes of something. It wasn't anything extreme, and I was doing it to be healthy. The ED, when I had it before treatment, was mostly about food being clean and being stressed about food being clean, and also being stressed about not having control over my body. Like, I've been worried about this since I was a kid. I was stressed about my bodily functions and not having control over them. But if I ate the exact same foods every day and exact same schedule, then I had more control over my body, and I had really bad OCD, so those two things went together. Then it was only after treatment and being in treatment and being exposed to all the things that I was told in treatment that the eating disorder became more about my body. It was only after treatment that I started exercising for hours a day super intensely. It was only after treatment that I started weighing myself. Well, I was forced to weigh myself, first of all, because of the eating disorder treatment. I was only made aware of my weight and what my weight should be and all those ideas after treatment. I only started counting calories after treatment because I was forced to count calories in treatment because they said I have to get to X number of calories and have X number of fats and X number of proteins. I was forced to count calories in treatment, but otherwise I wasn't counting them before. Treatment made me hyper aware of my body and hyper aware of my calories in a way that I was not before. My ED was fundamentally misunderstood, and then after treatment, it gave me all these new rules of things that I had to do. It totally changed everything. After treatment, I had body dysmorphia. After treatment, I counted calories for years and years and years. Treatment gave me this meal plan. I followed the meal plan for 2 or 3 years. I ate the same food every single day because that was the meal plan that treatment gave me. I feel as though a similar thing is happening in this situation. Prior to the body shaming from doctors, prior to, I don't want to say body shaming from friends and family, but when I started talking about my symptoms back in 2021 was when I started talking about my symptoms on social media with friends and family a little prior to making videos about it. When I started talking about my symptoms, that I started to get comments all the time. Every time that I saw anyone, people would say, "You look great," which implied you don't look sick, which implied your body is fine, so why aren't you fine? Eventually, I told my parents, you cannot comment on my body. If I hear one more time, "You look great," I will lose my mind. It was up until I started losing weight that I was getting those comments. For all of 2022, basically, I was getting those comments. "You look great," every time they saw me. And it was just so invalidating because I knew that behind it, it was, well, how can you be that sick? And I'm not saying my parents didn't believe me, but it took them a long time to see how bad it was. It took everyone a long time to see how bad it was. I will say this, I would not have started making YouTube videos about it if I didn't have a sense that it was something significant happening to my body. Something that has been frustrating to me this entire time is when people say that it can be fixed with a simple thing, or when people say that it's just stress, or it's just hunger, or it's just this or it's just that. They are basically saying, you don't know your body. You don't understand what it is to be nauseous. Could be stress nausea. I heard that for so long. You don't understand this about your body or that about your body. And I do understand my body. I'm hyper aware of my body. Trust me. It's invalidating when someone says that you don't know your body. I know my body better than anybody. It's my body. And another thing that I've been frustrated by is people take constipation very lightly. I've been constipated my whole life. When I look back, now that I know more about bowel motility, I'm like, oh my gosh, my whole life I've been constipated. People don't talk about their bowel movements because it's uncouth or taboo or whatever, but now that I know what other people's bowel function is like from talking to other people who don't have GI disorders, they don't have my kind of GI disorders, because I realize that there's a whole other spectrum that is equally unpleasant. I know about that. I feel sympathy for everyone that has the other side of the spectrum as well. But now that I know that side of the spectrum and my side of the spectrum and normal, or as normal as one can be, I realize, oh my gosh, I've been constipated my whole life. And I feel as though people are quick to blame you for constipation or to think that you aren't doing everything you can. Even people who totally believe my symptoms, who have totally been nice to me the entire time, will still come to me with things like, have you tried coffee? Have you tried aloe vera juice? Have you tried peppermint tea? I've tried all of those things. If that's what you're suggesting at this point, you don't get it. You don't get that I'm still constipated and my intestines are still not working right and causing me daily symptoms that limit my eating, despite every constipation remedy you could ever think of being tried and having a daily regimen as well of things that I do. My doctors, I don't think, understand that still. My doctor that I saw in April, my technically current GI, told me constipation is so common. I see it all the time. You know, it's not a big deal. You can just be on lenses your whole life. It's not a big deal. I'm not trying to talk bad about my current GI because I do like him. He gave me good insight about how problems with accommodation are happening to me. At the same time, he doesn't think my constipation is a huge deal when it is very difficult to my life. Just things like that. I feel blamed a lot of times for my constipation, and that was happening back in 2021. So that's been frustrating. And then the body part of it has really been messing with me. As I've said before, eating disorder wasn't about weight. After treatment, it became about weight. But I never expected that my weight would be such a big issue with getting treatment. I thought my symptoms would be enough. And I was so wrong about that. And I just didn't expect it at all. I used discussing my weight loss as a way to kind of emphasize my symptoms when I first met the gastroenterologist that I saw in 2021 and 2022, honestly. But I didn't intend for it to ever be a focus. And this entire time, my weight has been used for the barometer of the severity of my symptoms. And I find that so irritating and so triggering. Every time I go into an appointment, I feel like I'm being weighed for a weight check-in the way I used to be for years of my life. It's very stressful. I'm caught again between this dichotomy of feeling guilty and feeling like I'm giving in to my illness if I don't compulsively eat when I can. But also, I'm simultaneously afraid of gaining weight because I know if I gain weight, everyone's gonna think that I'm better, including family and friends. Even if they're not gonna say it, they're gonna think it. They'll be like, oh, she's doing better. She's heavier, so she must be better. And it's just so frustrating. I don't do anything to keep my weight the way it is. I actively try to gain weight. I feel guilty if I don't only eat calorie-dense things. I feel guilty if I eat a vegetable, which is definitely an eating disorder. Like, it's a whole other eating problem that I have now where I feel guilty if I don't only eat calorie-dense things, or if I don't only eat safe foods. I feel guilty if I eat something that's outside of my safe foods, because the safe foods are the foods that I get the most calories from. So if I deviate from safe foods, I feel guilty. If I do something that might make me constipated or more constipated, I feel guilty. If I eat some cheese, or if I don't walk every day, or if I don't eat my salt, I feel guilty, like I'm responsible for making my illness worse. I just feel so much guilt and responsibility over this condition because there's no more treatment options right now. And so I feel just the weight of it on my shoulders, and the weight of keeping myself going and productive in my life, just feel like it's all on me. It's just a lot to feel that all the time. I know that by documenting my illness online, I have opened myself up to scrutiny, but I just never expected that I would be disbelieved or that I would be not taken seriously. I never ever expected that. I never expected it, ever. I want to make a whole video about the difference between my experience getting mental health treatment versus physical health treatment, because they couldn't be more different. And honestly, I experienced so much less judgment getting mental health treatment for years of my life than I've experienced getting physical health treatment. That is insane to me. I never expected that. I really didn't expect this at all. I did not expect it. I think rare physical illnesses, especially in young people, are shunned way more than mental illness. I think mental illness is almost accepted more in young people and expected more in young people, especially the kind of mental illness that I have, like OCD, eating disorder stuff. But in young people, physical illness, especially rare stuff, is shunned. And it's like people say you're crazy crazy, you're mentally ill. It's just like this whole insanity. It's insanity. It's such a mental toll. So I'm not gonna drink anymore. I'm not gonna drink and binge eat anymore. Well, my version of binge eating, I'm not gonna do that anymore. I feel like I'm starting to get it, like body dysmorphia, which I am perturbed by. I simultaneously hate my body. I hate that my bones and stuff are more visible. I hate it. I feel so ugly. Wear baggy clothes. Don't feel sexy or attractive or anything like that. Then on top of it, I also feel heavy because I know that I'm not thin enough to get taken seriously with my symptoms. I feel simultaneously too thin and too heavy. And it just gives me this like body dysmorphia because there are times where I feel so ugly because I'm thin, and then times where I'm like, there's like too much weight on me because I'm not thin enough for the doctors to care enough. I feel as though I got taught one set of rules in ED treatment for years about how doctors were felt about weight loss and undereating, and then I'm realizing that how doctors actually feel is they really don't care about weight loss or undereating, and they just blame you for it. And they're like, well, if you're undereating, it's your fault. How hard is eating? Because they don't know what we go through if they don't have the same condition. I feel like I just rambled for 30 minutes. I don't even say all the things I want to say. Past several days I've not been eating plant-based and I don't care. Just can't do food rules. Food rules are just so triggering. I just can't. If I want a piece of cheese, I'm gonna eat a piece of cheese. Just trying to eat what I want, but also not force feed myself, and also not feel guilty, and also not hate my body, and also not worry about the judgment of others, and also not be terrified to eat due to symptoms. And that's a lot to try to do, and it's like, it's impossible. Because I'm always gonna be afraid of eating to a certain extent, because a lot of the time I throw up what I eat, so of course I'm gonna be afraid that it's gonna make me throw up, or feel nauseous, or be in pain, or make me constipated, or all of the above, because everything that I eat causes me symptoms, causes me pain. So I'm gonna feel bad no matter what. Just what kind of bad. It's like Pandora's box. And so then of course I'm gonna go to safe foods. My safe foods are always changing, and then I'll guilt myself for not eating safe foods. Oh, I always buy way too many of a safe food if I discover one. The house has been full of protein bars and protein shakes for months because those have been my safe foods. But I'm kind of getting tired of them. They're not feeling as safe. I'm having a problem where I compulsively eat them if I get in a binge, or calling it a binge as if like I'm appropriating people that actually have binge eating disorders. I don't want to say that, but like my compulsive eating. It's hard to talk about this stuff, so I feel like I'm not doing a good job of it, and I'm gonna edit this later and beat myself up for not making good videos. That's the other thing, is I put all this pressure on myself to make good videos about this while I'm sick, while I'm working full-time, while I'm married, while I'm trying to have a good family situation, while I'm trying to work on my writing, while I'm trying to go to church. Like, there's all these things going on, and I'm trying to have all these hobbies. It's a lot. I'm not gonna stop making videos, it's just I get stressed about it. And I beat myself up for not having enough energy to express what I want to express, because I could say this so much better if I wasn't sick, but also I wouldn't be saying this if I wasn't sick. So there's that. I'm looking at my legs right now and thinking they're fat. Like, I'm licking my legs right now and thinking that I have fat legs. And I have thin legs. But yeah, it's just the body dysmorphia is kicking in from all the stuff with doctors. I'm basically being told that I'm not thin enough this whole time, when everyone in my personal life thinks I'm too thin. People that didn't care, or I don't want to say didn't care, but people who didn't truly believe that I was sick before, now that I'm down to the weight that I am, they believe it and they're worried about me. It's like, oh, so I have to look sick for you to believe me? And then it just reinforces the body image issues and reinforces the guilt and reinforces everything. I feel like there's no way to mentally get through this okay. There's no way to be okay mentally and get through this. There's no way. And I have good coping skills, I feel, but I just don't think there's any way to mentally get through this okay. Or if you have one, like, let me know. How can you have a good relationship with food if you're so sick and if your body is scrutinized by everyone you know? I'm afraid to eat in front of people now, honestly. I hate eating in front of people. If a woman at work sees me eat, I'm so ashamed. They don't even know about my issues. I'm afraid to eat in front of people. I'm afraid to eat in front of my family because I'm like, they're gonna judge me, because if I'm having a good day and I eat more, they're gonna think that I'm fine and like maybe invalidate my symptoms. And then if I'm having a bad day and I eat less, they're gonna try to like be super stressed about it and think that I'm in my ED, or think that I'm doing it on purpose or whatever. So I feel like there's no winning with eating in front of other people. I do not like eating in front of other people at all. And it's got to the point where I don't want to do it at all. I eat in front of Robert, but he's the only one that I'll eat in front of, honestly. And if I eat in front of other people, I try to always do a safe food, like a protein bar or some sort of beverage, because then I just feel like I look the part more, and then on top of that, I'm not less likely to vomit in front of them. I vastly underestimated how much people would care about how it looks on the outside, what they see of what I eat, how my body looks. I vastly underestimated how big of a part how I looked would play into this. I really just thought that being in pain and suffering physically was enough to be like, I am not okay, please help. I thought that would be enough. It just never could have occurred to me that I wouldn't be believed from the get-go. None of this would have ever occurred to me, what has transpired in this health journey. This is not at all what I expected. And when I started this journey, I thought that interventions were done sooner on people. And I thought that having an awareness about what my issues could be would be helpful. And if anything, it hurt, because me pushing for the gastric emptying scan too early on in the progression of my illness led to me getting a negative scan. And people that know about the intricacies of gastroparesis, like the nutritionist that I saw, knows that that scan is probably bogus. But my GI doctors don't want to like give me another scan, and I'm terrified now of getting another negative scan, because if I have 2 negative scans, then it's like I'm a crazy person, right? So I don't want to push for a scan because I'm terrified of getting a negative one. And now I know from the research that the test is so inaccurate that it's like you could get a negative scan anytime, and it just scares me. So it's not the test itself that's inaccurate, it's just the body isn't consistent. Even people that have severe gastroparesis can have a normal scan at times. That's just the truth. I'm not saying that I'm severe. I don't think I am, but I'm just saying that if it can happen to someone who's severe, then obviously it can happen to me. There's so much more I want to say. There is so much more that I want to say, but I just can't. I'm so tired. I don't feel well. I don't remember what I said I don't remember what I've said in this video. My brain fog is so bad that I don't remember what I've said in this gosh darn video. So I'm just gonna start repeating myself because I don't remember what I've said. I hate that my memory has gotten so bad, and I hate it. I'm so overwhelmed by this whole situation, and I can't make it stop. I cannot make it stop. I will never make it stop, and I just want to make it stop, which has obviously given me some very bad thoughts mentally that I don't want to be having and that I'm not going to act on, so don't worry about me, but it's given me some bad thoughts mentally. I don't want to do this anymore, and I have to keep doing it, and I don't think help is on the way. Like, I think the best path forward is to get a root cause diagnosis, and even though I have someone that I have in mind to give me that diagnosis, their wait list doesn't even open until October. Their wait list. So I might not even have a root cause diagnosis until a year or 2 from now. There will not be an end, but hopefully I'll figure out how to handle this better mentally, because I'm not in a good place. But I'll try to get better mentally. But anyway, this is long. I'll talk to you guys in the next video. If you watch to the end, put like a purple emoji in the comment or something. I'm always curious who actually watches to the end of these, because the viewer retention is always crazy when you look at the analytics. Anyway, hit me with a purple emoji. Love you guys. The people that are girls, or people who comment, I'm not talking about you when I say that I've had judgment. Just know that. Especially if you watch the end of the video.